The FTX scandal continues to get worse. There is so much coming out of this that almost makes your tears curl up thinking about how this was allowed to happen, both in lobbying and donations from this guy, but equally and absolutely using customer funds to basically play his own game of risk. Absolutely crazy. We're going to be delving into the crazy world of Sam Bankman-Fried and also his counterpart in all of this, Caroline Ellison, and everything that went on in the FTX downfall and ultimately what brought about a huge, massive correction in the market, a $32 billion scam. I'm going to take a look at everything going on in this. So like we said, FTX launched by Bankman-Fried back when he was just a 28-year-old entrepreneur, and it had a valuation in just 3 years of $32 billion. Absolutely insane. You'll have seen it on Super Bowl advertisements. You saw it in terms of the Miami Heat basketball team, and known also for donating and being in court kind of arguing the world of cryptocurrency. But he tried to facilitate a $1 billion bailout that went wrong, and ultimately that was the absolute downfall of FTX. So over the course of a 10-day period, well, FTX basically went from a $32 billion company to completely bankrupt and filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Absolutely crazy. Had its own token, the FTT token. Again, you can see here it is a significant way down, 5%, and it continues to decline. Now, people are obviously buying into this, hoping they might get something on the back of it, but ultimately an absolute shit show. It says that, and it all came about from a Binance statement. He even approached CZ Binance to take on $529 million and hold their FTT tokens, in which Binance came out and said no, they weren't going to do it on the back of the Terra Luna collapse. Now, we all know what happened there, and equally Binance holding the bag in a significant way. Now, Terra Luna for me is slightly different to this FTX scandal, but ultimately Binance did not want to be a part of it. Now, huge liquidity problems, as well as a huge report of billions of dollars worth of customer funds being used to try and prop up failing businesses, amongst many other things. Now, absolutely crazy when you start to really dig into this. But on November the 10th, the Bahamas security regulator froze the assets of FTX Digital Markets, and that ultimately caused a gigantic surge of people selling. Bankman-Fried was seeking $8 billion in a bailout fund just to try and keep FTX solvent, but that was never going to happen. Now, when you start getting into much more of this, there is just huge things that are absolutely terrifying to think about when you look in terms of cryptocurrency exchanges. So it says Bankman-Fried stepped down on November the 11th as CEO and was replaced by John J. Ray III. Again, he was one of these people that took Enron through their bankruptcy, and he quotes by saying this is the worst run business he has ever had to do it. There's also 130 affiliated companies with assets ranging from 10 to 50 billion and liabilities upwards in excess of 50 billion. Now, when you start dialing into the rabbit hole, this is where it kind of gets crazy. So you can see that the on-chain data shows FTX collapse was going to happen. And here we go with a few interesting things. It says from the hours of filing bankruptcy, FTX said it was a victim of unauthorized transactions. We now know one of the partners of FTX had built code in to allow them to remove funds out of the back door. It says outside analysis said they suspect that $477 million was stolen from FTX, which we believe ended up in the palms of Sam Bankman-Fried and his associates. We also know that the Bahamian Securities Commission did hold some of the assets held on FTX on November the 18th, and they instructed Bankman-Fried to move the crypto assets to the regulator wallet to protect creditors. Again, we don't know how much of that actually happened, but certainly is a question. Now, the broader circumstances does obviously affect the entire cryptocurrency market. We saw large collapses, short histories of cryptocurrency. FTX may further deter investors, and I think it is fair to say that we have seen that on a number of things. But ultimately, it did bring about a gigantic problem. Now, in November 22, cryptocurrency exchange FTX collapsed within roughly 10 days, which is absolutely crazy, and it could not negotiate a bailout. This is where it gets insane, though. If you're looking for real answers on this, he was using customer funds to leverage risky trades and risky assets, ultimately with the hope of bringing it back in terms of making money. We all know that didn't work out, so we then see the giant collapse. We also know that funds were being moved over to Alameda Research, Research, which was being run by, at that time, Caroline Ellison, his said girlfriend, in which those funds, again, were used in risky assets. You can see here on a number of articles on the Decrypt, it says, fallen crypto exchange FTX was quite likely doomed months ago once crypto project Terra went up in flames, according to Glassnode. In the latest report, the blockchain data firm said that FTX digital asset reserves dropped massively following Terra Ignis crash. Now, again, the reserves did drop, but ultimately they were still leveraging a number of funds out of FTX. So absolutely crazy. It added, it claims as Alameda misappropriately customers' deposits came to light, indicates that Alameda FTX entity may have in fact experienced severe balance sheet impairment in May and June following the collapse of Luna, 3AC and other lenders. Now, there's a lot of debate in here that actually the Terra Luna Classic was brought around by FTX and ultimately its insolvency. Again, a lot of that's still being worked through, but it says the collapse of Luna, the native token of Terra, and crypto-focused hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital caused the crypto market to tank. FTX crumbled earlier this month after allegedly using client money to make risky investments bets through Alameda Research, which again didn't have any liquidation stop points. They were front running their own bets as well. Absolutely crazy. And there's just so much in this, but actually it is a terrifying thing to think about. So FTX is continuing to cause huge problems in the global crypto market. With that being said, there has been some announcements and some moves, which I think is great on CoinMarketCap. We can now see reserves on a lot of our cryptocurrency exchanges. Again, you can come over here and see their total backed assets on their platform. I think it's a very welcome thing to do and ultimately should support us hiding and certainly not ending up in another FTX fiasco. Absolutely crazy. We also have, like I said, the Sam Bankman-Fried, as well as the Tornado Cash Alex Petsev, who also had issues in terms of liquidity and were just doing things not right. Now, again, there is a legal proceedings being taken against Sam Bankman-Fried, and again, it's absolutely crazy in terms of what's going on. And obviously, we are genuinely, I hope people that lost a lot of money, or that hopefully, you know, we can get something back out of there. But it is absolutely the most crazy thing in the world, and there is more to come with FTX. So we're going to stay close to this because ultimately, like we said, right now, in terms of the global market, we are seeing a slight move back up, 2% on the day, 823 billion. We did actually find a bit of a rally, subsequently came all the way back down. But this FTX, it isn't going away. It is only opening doors to even more things that are questionable out there. So what's my advice? Well, get your money off exchanges. Really think about where you're invested and what you're buying. And ultimately, always do your own research and try where possible to make those decisions yourself. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, who knows what's going to happen with that. We'll stay close to it on this channel, but thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all the support. Don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything going on in cryptocurrency. I'll catch you guys in the next one.